Hello, everyone. This is Obscure Nick here today with a new live. We are talking about Wizards Beyond Waverly Place today. Um, okay, it just set up again. It keeps going in and out, so I hope it's good. I hope you guys can hear me. Yeah, it's Obscure Nick here with a new live today. We are going to be talking about Wizards Beyond Waverly Plays and some of the things behind it that I'm hearing about and everything. And I wanted to really just today have an open conversation and everything about the show, about some of the stuff we've been hearing about regarding it and everything. Okay, I'm gonna put that right there. Um, yeah, it's very interesting stuff. And I just wanted to have an open conversation this morning about it pretty much and the information I found out. And we're going to dive a bit further with that and everything. Thought I would do a video version of what I posted on Twitter so we can all talk together. We can all have the open conversation. I'm also trying a live at a different time and everything. Um, but before we get started, I will just let people come in, give everyone a few minutes here. I hope you guys are all having a wonderful morning so far and everything. I yeah, it's been a good day so far. Hopefully people come in soon and everything so we can get started. I hope you guys are all having a wonderful day. I'm just still trying to figure out the live thing, but I was like, okay, let's just have an open conversation about Wizards Beyond Waverly Place. Um, because we know that David Henry has executive producer credits along with Selena Gomez, but a lot of people are saying David Henry controls this show, controls the energy. So I'm hoping to also get some insights from you guys and everything about what that is and stuff. And yeah, it should be interesting. I know this is very like last minute live, but I was like, okay, let's just try something new here, try something different. Um, I hope you guys can hear me. To also, oh wait, yeah, you guys can hear me. Okay, perfect. So yeah, I'm just gonna let people come in, give everyone a few minutes here to come in and stuff. Let me just put my microphone right there so I don't have to carry it. I hope you guys can still hear me. And then we'll get started with the presentation. Um, yeah, so it's very interesting that is um this is that there's a lot of backlash with this. There's a lot of different ways people are going about it and stuff. And I feel like I'm going to give everyone some time before I really get started. But yeah, I think um everyone has a different. I'm getting a lot of the same energy, the similar energy from people and stuff about David Henry, and I've also heard some things outside of Wizards Beyond Waverly Place about David Henry on other productions, which actually very recently, but over the past years, the way he behaves on some of these productions and stuff. So that was really interesting to me. I don't know if we're gonna get into that part of it today exactly, but I because I don't know David Henry personally or anything. But I just have a lot of people have told me about his behavior and the way that a lot of his former cast members that he used to work with have they have a certain energy with David Henry specifically. And again, I'm going to also say this is not like we're bashing David Henry or anything. We're just talking about what the streets are talking about, and how viewers are perceiving that. So before we get into this, I am going to just set up the window and everything just to make sure you guys see that and stuff. Okay, let's just pull that there. Okay, can you guys see this? So this is, I just wanted to do some housekeeping first before we get started. So this is the Patreon. So I'm going to put this in the links below. So if you would like to subscribe to the Patreon, I put a lot of things there. And then if you want to donate and help support the channel, there's the PayPal, but this is the Patreon. You can join for free, or you can join one of the tiers and everything. And we talk about David Henry on here and some of the stuff there and other stuff as well. So if that you want to get things exclusive first before anything else, feel free to join the Patreon. Patreon.com/obscurenick, but with no I, just how you actually spell obscure. So feel free to join that. I will shout you out, of course, if you join that. And then also, if you want to donate to the channel, feel free to send me anything, and everything's appreciated to the PayPal. And I will shout you out on that too. I have the email open, so in case anyone sends a PayPal on here, I will shout you out and everything, and let me know if I don't see it or get to it. I will shout you out at some point. Zero Infinity donated to the PayPal, and so has Tesmosis. So thank you guys for donating to the PayPal. Really appreciate it. Helps to keep me going. I can do this even more so if you guys would like to. It just helps the channel. It helps everything, and anything appreciated, not required, of course. But yeah. So that's just some housekeeping things that I just wanted to put out there as we get started. I hope you guys are doing well. I usually start at like the 10-minute mark and everything. So I will, so that we have 3 more minutes, and then we're going to get right into it and everything. But that's just some housekeeping stuff. If you have any questions, let me know. But we're going to start in about 3 minutes. We're going to go down with the presentation. And if there's any questions afterwards, feel free to put that in the chat. Totally happy to answer any, or if all your questions and everything. So just let me know. And so for people coming in, we're going to talk about what pretty much we're going to go over today is we're going to talk about Wizards Beyond Waverly Place and the show and what that show is and everything, and who controls the narrative in that show, and some of the controversies that have come out of that. And we're going to dive into that a little bit as well. And some of the things that I've been shown. So this is like a video version of it, and we're going to dive into it further and everything. I hope you guys are doing well today and everything as well. Yeah, so it's pretty much Disney Channel's Wizards Beyond Waverly Place is a Wizards of Waverly Place reboot. And yeah, I've been wanting to dive into this topic for a while, because a lot of people bring this up to me and everything. And it's kind of just, it's something that people have been rumbling about. There's been a lot of questionable behavior with David Henry, like I said. So yeah, has anyone, if you're in the audience, has anyone seen this reboot? Like, what is it like? What is the energy of it? I heard it's a very family-oriented show, which, to be fair, is fair for Disney Channel, because Disney Channel is a family, kid-oriented network, which is a good thing. So it has it's very safe. But I think it gets carried away in a lot of ways with that. So, I'm really interested to dive deeper in it. But if you've seen it, please let me know in the chat. What are your thoughts on the reboot? Is it like a full-on reboot? Does it feel like a completely different show, or does it resonate with Wizards of Waverly Place? I know some people that were originally involved have different things to say about it, so that will be very interesting and stuff. And if you guys would want me to do a retrospective, like just have me, or just not even a retrospective, because it's still very fresh. If you want me to review Wizards Beyond Waverly Place as a retrospect, as a review thing, I am totally willing to do that. So yeah, we're gonna get started here. Welcome to the chat. Usually people come in as I'm getting started anyway. Welcome to the chat. I am Obscure Nick. Feel free to check my links in the live chat. I put the links there. Today we're discussing Wizards Beyond Waverly Place, the reboot, and the controversies behind it. So last night, Wizards Beyond Waverly Place ended. Oh, no, August 4th. August 4th it ended. And people were underwhelmed. People were like, thank God it's over. That was the messaging that they were giving with that. Now, I don't know if you guys believe in reboots or whatnot. I personally don't always believe in reboots, but I feel there's ways of executing it and stuff. A lot of people, the best execution that people tell me of a reboot was the iCarly reboot in 2021, because it was an adult version of the show, because you grew up with the characters, that you weren't retrogressing the characters. And in this reboot, a lot of people felt like it was a retrogression in a sense, and they didn't want like a new generation. They wanted the same characters just grown up, is the read I'm getting on it. So Wizards Beyond Waverly Place is a Wizards of Waverly Place reboot. So this is the original Wizards of Waverly Place from 2007 to 2012. That starred Selena Gomez, David Henry, Jake T. Austin, Maria Canel Barreras, David DeLuise, and Jennifer Stone. And also Greg Salkin was in this show as well, Bridget Mendler, people like that. So pretty much the Wizards Beyond Waverly Place was like a reboot of that. I'm just gonna move this over. And it's Selena Gomez was honestly great comedic relief. She was comedic genius. I did watch the original Wizards of Waverly Place myself, and it was solid. Like, it was a solid Disney show. I don't think there was anything too crazy in that show either, which was nice. So I like that. It was pretty tame, pretty fun, but still funny for a kids show. It felt more family oriented from my understanding. And I really enjoyed that ensemble. I thought that was a solid ensemble. I think that's one of the kids shows that have aged better, in my opinion. But I could also do a retrospective if you guys think otherwise. I think it's aged better than like a show like Hannah Montana, or or Good Luck Charlie. I think I think it's aged better than that, or any of the Dan Schneider shows from that era. So I think this show has aged a lot better. But there has been a lot of like questionable behavior from the co-stars of David Henry, and that's where a lot of the backlash has come from, is from him, because he's been taking over the show, being power crazy apparently, and really putting a lot of decisions and making it being so focused on the family oriented aspect of the show that he's forgetting the other elements of the show, from what I'm hearing. And that's the gist of it, and everything is that, and a lot of it has to do, people are saying he's a very religious person, a very conservative person, and has certain political beliefs, allegedly, about certain ways of life, and he's exhibited that with some of his ex-co-stars. And everyone has an opinion. Everyone has a right to an opinion and their values, and I think if he wants to play it safe, that's totally fine and everything. But he also wasn't listening to fans, and was even not listening to his fellow co-stars of how to go about this, because again, he was thinking about this show as himself and not the ensemble, even like with Selena Gomez. So even though Selena Gomez has an executive producer title, she's not as heavily involved, I've heard, as he is. He's more the one that's hands-on, from my understanding. But Allegedly, of course, this is all very allegedly, but it shows in a lot of cases that he has the power over this. And what's also very interesting is since the show ended, Todd J. Greenwald is the original creator of the show, of the original show, and he had a lot of hands-on with the show, and he put a lot of care into the stories that were being told for that whole entire series. He had a starting goal and an end goal with the series, where Wizards Beyond Waverly Place didn't feel that way, you know? And so that's why it was very up in the air. And this is Todd J. Greenwald speaking from the creator himself of the original show. Says here, I think this was on Threads, I will undo the entire Beyond canon in one simple chapter by simply ignoring it. It was all Max's dream. Fixed, moving on. And yeah, it does feel like a dream because this only lasted 35 episodes, 3 seasons. The last season only had 4 episodes. So it's very telling when the original creator is saying this about the show. You know, and it wasn't something the fans necessarily wanted in that way. I think people were excited. I think people were excited that Selena Gomez was back. I think the way they sold this show was from Selena Gomez's perspective and stuff. So that's what the read is on the show itself. So it's really interesting that Todd J. Greenwald said this about the show. And then also to tack on something else is that there was a lot of behind the scenes fighting with other co-stars of this show too. I want to bring up Dan Benson here. I'm just going to bring him into here so we can see that. So this is Dan Benson. He played Zeke Beakerman on the original Wizards of Waverly Place back in the day, who is Justin's friend, which is David Henry's character. Justin Russo's David Henry, and Zeke Beakerman was his best friend in the show. Now, Dan Benson has quit acting to be an OnlyFans content creator, which is his choice. It's his choice. He has a right to do so. However he makes money, you know, you do you, and everything, and that's totally fine and everything. It does make sense why he wouldn't be part of this, because Disney Channel wants a family-friendly image, and the public image is important, I will say. Which is fine, like, if he wasn't part of it or anything, and I think he knows that as well. But however, it's one thing to ignore someone and not acknowledge their existence on something, but in a press, when they were doing press for Wizards of Beyond Waverly Place, David Henry was definitely exhibiting some behavior where it was like shaming Dan Benson in a sense for his choices, and where in situations where he could have just easily ignored it and everything. And honestly, I feel the best approach with Dan Benson, because again, Wizards Beyond Waverly Place is on Disney Channel, a family-friendly kids channel, which makes sense why Dan Benson would not be a part of it and everything. Just speaking, because I get why they wouldn't, just because teens are watching this show, so it makes sense, and it's no shame to him and what he's doing and anything, but that is what the read is on Dan Benson. However, the problem is not with Dan Benson himself. It's when it was brought up, and it wasn't even brought up in like a very like poignant way where it's just like, oh, like you can highlight it. No, David Henry actively chose in this clip I'm about to show you that that he was choosing to highlight that, and there was a specific reason and specific subtle shade that he was throwing Dan Benson's way, where he did not need to do that at all, especially if he's so about family values and protecting the family image and stuff, then why do you even acknowledge it, you know? So there's some bitterness and energy that I was receiving from that in regards to Dan Benson that David Henry was exhibiting. Let's play the clip and I'll show you exactly what we're talking about, and let me know what you guys think.
Got it.
And finally, choose a reoccurring character who should...
This clip is from BuzzFeed Celebs. So this is them doing Wizard. This is the whole Wizard Beyond Waverly Place cast. And this was David Henry answering a specific question that wasn't Dan Benson centered even. It was just, there were some choices of characters that he just had to pick and stuff. So let me just play you this clip. It's only 22 seconds, and let me know what you guys think about this. And do you think, and it's just weird that he's answering this question with kids around. There's just a certain read about that. So this is David Henry answering a specific question from BuzzFeed. Take a look.
Got it.
And finally, choose a reoccurring character who should guest star on Wizards Beyond Waverly Place.
Silence.
I can't believe you guys put one of these people on here.
I know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Millennials understand that. Okay, so Juliet Van Heusen, Mason Grayback, Zeke Beakerman, Steve Nichols, Stevie Nichols, Gigi.
Got it.
And finally.
Okay, so I'm just gonna I am just gonna pause there because that was the clip. So yeah, he made it a thing where he's like, yeah, I'm gonna throw some subtle shade this way, because I'm just like, you can see that on the question, there's 6 other characters. There are 6 other characters here. So and he was making it a point about Zeke Beakerman for a specific reason. So I am hi Tez, welcome to the chat. Welcome. Yeah, I literally was like, we're just gonna pop off today. I just was like, I literally put this together in 5 minutes. And I'm just like, we're gonna just pop off today. And I know we know about David Henry, like we know. But what in this clip, mind you, this is a Disney Channel press release. And there's other kids in the room here too that are answering these questions. They're answering these specific questions. What's alarming is what's the most alarming thing here is, like, one, why did you have to make it a point, especially when there's kids around, about Zeke Beakerman, aka Dan Benson, when you know what Dan Benson does? And why do all these other kids know about it? Like, why are they all smiling? Why do they know this? How do the kids know about this? Because they're all making a face. They all know what this is. They're all laughing. Like, all these minor children are laughing. So did David Henry give them, like, how do they know about this? How do they know about the tea on Dan Benson? Like, that's just my question, because that's very alarming to me. Dan Benson's an OnlyFans creator. He's an OnlyFans creator, you know? And, oh yeah, no worries, Tez. We're all good. I literally just, like, this was so last minute. This was so last minute, but I was just like, we have to have this conversation now. We have to have this conversation now. And I had to put a thread out there. So yeah, it's like, why, like, it's just weird. It's just weird that he had to like go about this. And I'm just like, how do these kids know? How do these kids know? How do these kids know about Dan Benson? Like the tea on Dan Benson? Like, and what do they know about that? Because I'm just like, I am very, like, that just makes me a little uncomfortable. And this was for a press release for Disney Channel show. So he made this big scene about this right here in the middle of a Disney Channel press, which he didn't need to, that got some attention. The thing is, you're so about the thing is, there's a double standard. You're so about promoting a family clean show, but then you're making this point about and pointing something out that's very not family friendly, and you also didn't allow Dan Benson to be on the show, which I get that. I understand that because of his image and everything. I understand that. But the best way would have been just to continuously ignore it and not make it a point, and just let Dan Benson do what Dan Benson is doing. You didn't need to chime in, especially when you're on a platform where people are now going to be like, oh, like, what if some minor that is watching the show is going to look up Zeke Beakerman now or Dan Benson on the internet, So that is the issue. And I'm all for a family friendly show. I'm all for it being family friendly and being oriented. I get that. I totally get that. But it's, again, you're not being hush hush about Dan Benson exactly here. So, and so Dan Benson responds to it right here. This was on Twitter. I'm not going to say that word, but David Henry can suck I'll pay him more than they paid me for Wizards. I promise you that. So and it's fair enough to like respond to that. And then he got blocked after that. So Dan Benson was just playing in David Henry's face, to be quite honest with you. So, yeah, so that was what happened there. I'm going to take this down so people don't see that. But yeah, that's Dan Benson and David Henry have a very tumultuous relationship. And, it's crazy that that's how he gets treated. Yes, you know how I feel about this guy in relation to... Yeah, that's going to be the next conversation we're going to have, is about the Bug Hall and David Henry. Earlier in the video, earlier in the live, I was alluding to that, actually, because we both know about that. So I was like, because that's if the Bug Hall situation and David Henry and Bug Hall situation says a lot. That says a lot. That is another example of David Henry taking over the situation, controlling the situation, and being power crazy over the situation, and is why Bug Hall no longer works in the industry. Part of the reason why. Allegedly. And we're going to have a conversation about Bug Hall in general. And I guess I get the situation with Bug Hall. I get him. I've seen what Bug Hall also does as well. I understand that. There is a situation there. But David Henry, since you're here, Tez, since this is so perfect to go into that. Since David Henry, David Henry is part of the reason why Bug Hall no longer works in the industry, because the last project Bug Hall did was with David Henry. And that's when that all fell apart, it became a situation. So, yeah, and that was in 2020. That was the last film he worked on. This Is the Year. Bug Hall worked on with David Henry. This is the year. That was the film. This was Bug Hall. Let me just pull this up right now. Actually, we're going to have this conversation right now. And we'll dive, if we need to dive, if you have anything to add, Tez, feel free to add it in, of course. But let's just have this conversation right now, because we're toying around this. So this is David Henry and Bug Hall in 2019, 2020. They did a film together called This Is the Year. This is the year. And what's also interesting about This Is the Year is it was directed by David Henry, and Bug Hall was a part of it. And also what's interesting about This Is the Year is let me just pull it up right here. I'm going to also add this in while we're at it. So this is the year. This is the year. It's another project where Selena Gomez was executive producer. Something that I'm pretty sure, if I'm being honest, a lot of these projects David Henry seems to do seems like it's funded by Selena Gomez. And I think Selena Gomez has a good relationship with David Henry and most of her former cast members. And This Is the Year was one where she was executive producer, because she probably funded this film, to be quite honest with you, because she's probably good friends with Greg Salkin as well, who was also in Wizards of Waverly Place, which is very interesting. But this was a screenplay done with David Henry and Bug Hall, and Bug Hall did not like, this was the last thing Bug Hall worked on in the industry, one of the last things, where he was like, he had an issue with the way things were conducted. And he was also, I believe, alluding at that I'm still getting my mom coffee on here. My schedule's, oh, no worries. That is totally okay. Take your time. But I'm just, this is a good segue, is that Bug Hall was not happy with the way things were going behind the scenes, and he was alluding to David Henry in a lot of ways. Did my microphone go out, or can you guys hear me still? David Henry was alluding to a lot of, Bug Hall was alluding to a lot of the things that he didn't like, and this was the film where he quit. He quit. Yeah, it's really interesting that this was the last thing. So Bug Hall had clearly an experience that he was not happy with in terms of this film and everything, and the way the industry is, and that's why he began going on this route of, okay, you can hear me. Okay, perfect. I'll just keep going even if the mic went out. And David Henry, so clearly there's more to that and everything, and we can dive deeper into that. If Tez, you have anything to add, feel free to add it in and everything. But this was very interesting. But this is another example of where, and this was eye-opening to me about David Henry, is that David Henry has a pattern of this behavior with his projects that are funded by Selena Gomez. So, and he's clearly one way with certain people like Selena Gomez and stuff, because he knows Selena Gomez has a lot of money and power. And I think Selena Gomez has been through the ringer in this industry, which that is a whole other conversation as well. So I have a lot of compassion and empathy for her and stuff. And yeah, maybe not 1,000. Yeah, I'm still trying to work out who the predator was they brought on that set during the night shoot when there was 1,000 kids on set. Maybe not 1,000, but that was a concert shoot, so they had a ton of teen extras. So there was a PDF file or a predator essentially that was working on the set that was alarming to Bug Hall, and that's why he exited from this. And David Henry, who you would think is more, especially being more conservative and being more aware, would not allow that, would be like, no, if you're so anti Dan Benson, you shouldn't have allowed this person on this set either, this specific individual. So that's just some background on it, but that I'm just showing you guys some new information in case you did not realize that there is this pattern of behavior that is with David Henry. So, yeah, that was very interesting to me. And Bug Hall has, again, some behavior himself that he exhibits on Twitter and social media, but there's a reason why things switched for him, in a sense. But that's a whole other conversation for a different day. But I just found this very, very interesting myself. When this was brought up to me, and it was quite eye-opening because I did not know about this side of David Henry necessarily. So yeah, that is really, really interesting. Also, another thing that I want to bring up regarding, and this is why I'm going to also bring up this this other thing that where it's not just Dan Benson and Bug Hall, but also I think David DeLuise and Jennifer Stone did a Wizards of Waverly Place rewatch podcast, which that's a whole different thing because that's a whole different thing in itself. But it's not. I don't blame them for anything at all because I know what production this is. I know it's with a certain production, but that's a different conversation for a different day with this podcast. However, Wizards of Waverly Pod was done with Jennifer Stone and David Henry. So a lot of people also brought up the fact that they had this podcast where they would have rewatched the show, but they would also invite certain guests to rewatch with them, like from the show and stuff. And I think they had everyone on, I believe, including Selena Gomez. Like, Selena Gomez made time to be on this podcast. And her interview was so interesting, actually, on this podcast, because she was so humble when she went on. And David DeLuise and Jennifer Stone made it, like, such a big thing. Be like, oh, Selena Gomez is on our podcast. We had to contact her people and stuff. And Selena, what was very eye-opening to me is like, no, you guys could just text me to come on. That's all it is. It's just one text away. It's just Jennifer texting me, hey, come on the podcast, and I will gladly do it. And I really love that Selena Gomez said that and stuff. And it really said a lot about her. Yet, I believe they invited David Henry on the podcast. A lot of people told me they did, but he felt like he was too good for this podcast. And what was interesting is this podcast came out before Wizards Beyond Waverly Place reboot was happening. So David would only go on a podcast if he was paid for it. Pretty much is what was being told. So it was never out of the goodness of his heart necessarily. Yes, apparently a known predator and David had led Bug to believe they shared the same morals. See, that's a grooming thing. That's so grooming. That is like so grooming. If David Henry literally was like trying to convince Bug Hall about a known predator on a set, that's like such, that's David, just because that's so like one-sided, you know, where it's like David Henry could have, what do you call it? He doesn't have empathy or compassion for people who have been in situations in this industry, especially, I wonder how he became religious and stuff exactly. And everything, like what's his background on that is what I would like to know a little bit to understand it. Was it perpetuated from the industry? Because usually when people have those strong religious conservative family values, it's usually understandable because a lot in the industry, it's because something in the industry triggered them and stuff. Because even with Kirk Cameron, for instance, the Cameron family, Candace Cameron Bure and those people, they were working, it made sense how they became so religious and born again Christians is because they were working around a lot of people that had very questionable behavior. such as Brian Peck on the Growing Pains set. You know, like, because Brian Peck was a convicted predator. We know about the Drake Bell situation, but he was on the Growing Pains set when Kirk Cameron was there. After Growing Pains, Kirk Cameron became a born-again Christian, religious. So did Candace Cameron not too long after that. So it made sense because they were like, this is so demonic that I need to find spirituality in my life. I don't know what David Henry's path would be, because if this was Kirk Cameron and Candace Cameron, and I'm aware Kirk Cameron and Candace Cameron have said a lot of questionable things as well, but I also understand why they are the way they are. You know, it doesn't excuse the behavior, but it explains the behavior. And it's not me giving a pass, because there are a lot of things that I'm just like, why are you saying that about certain people? But I think they're speaking from a place of trauma, not from a place of malice necessary, but their trauma can turn a certain way, you know? It's turned in a certain way. And I'm not, so with David Henry, the fact that he's like, I feel like if Kirk Cameron was in that position, he would be like, no, we're not doing that. Same with Candace Cameron. You know, actually when the Full House producer got accused, when they were doing the reboot of Fuller House, actually, when there was an allegation about the Fuller House producer having misconduct and stuff, I remember this back almost 10 years ago, Candace Cameron pulled that person from the show. They pulled that person from the show, and they were like, no, you're not going to be working on this because you did X, Y, and Z, which was the smart move, honestly. And the fact that David Henry did the opposite is like, that is very confusing. Like, that's sending a mixed message. So I just want to know, how did he get into religion? It makes me not think that it was an industry thing, because I always assumed it was an industry thing. Where did his sense of spirituality come from, you know? And, you know, everyone has their own spiritual path. This is not a diss on religion or anything. Like, that's totally fine. It's just very confusing to me that he's advocating for a predator. And also, Tez, can you answer this for me? Was the predator that David was, the predator that he was enabling essentially on this set, was it someone that was known and had a conviction, or was it something that was more behind the scenes and it was like it's an open secret sort of thing? And yes, I'm not happy at all with all the way Bug conducts himself, but he's not putting any children in harm anyways. He's just sassy, yeah, he's literally just like a misogynist, really. Which is not like good, really, but it's like, I'm like, that's questionable in itself. But as long as he's not harming children or people, then it's like, okay, it is what it is. It's like, it's a very ignorant, I'm not going to even get into his views right now because it's not about, but that's a different conversation for his different way. He was meant to be a potential investor, and Bug said known predator, so I'm guessing open secret. Okay. So it was an investor. See, that's even trickier. And the thing is, David Henry wanted to ignore that. He wanted to ignore that is the thing. So, yeah, not great at all. Something I wanted to bring up is, we're going to bring up, so something to continue, again, with David Henry's behavior of him looking down on certain people. This was, okay, we got that. So this was David DeLuise, who played the father on the show, and he seemed very protective over Selena Gomez. He seemed more of like a light worker type of energy I get from him, because he's just very, you know, he's very who he is. And he did appear in the spinoff a few times, but not in the finale. And he said, it would not be over if the OG wizards were really there. Missed opportunity. And I think like, yeah, that's very true, because it is odd that not many of the OGs, and there weren't that many, came to the finale. It was nice to see Jennifer Stone there, Greg Sulkin, and Selena Gomez, but that was about it. There was no there was no Jake T. Austin, Maria Canal Barrera. It was very just. It was just very like one. Just who the people David likes essentially on there. And I think especially if you're doing a finale and this is the last time Selena Gomez is going to play Alex Russo and stuff, you would think you would want everyone on board, all hands on deck, you know. And David DeLuise, the father, has always seemed to like advocated, like even when I've listened to the podcast, he's always seemed to advocate for the other actors being a part of it and making sure they get compensated, which I was like, oh, I like that. I like that. And I see why Jennifer Stone and him vibe and stuff. There was even a clip of David DeLuise being very protective over Selena Gomez. And I'll actually bring up my Twitter right now just so you guys can see this. Because it was very telling to me that it was he protected from he felt very uncomfortable with the way adults were acting about Selena Gomez turning 18 back in the day, which also there's a pattern of that with the industry. Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen, another prime example where people in the industry were making it a big thing that she was turning 18. Like, why are we worried about that? And while I have you guys there, okay, I'm just going to look to see if there was anyone that sent me money or anything, or just to make sure so I shout you guys out, because I want to shout you guys out. If you guys would like to, feel free to donate to my PayPal. And it's just helps support the channel, helps myself. I will shout you out. I'll keep looking at that. I'll look at that one more time before I end the stream and stuff. And then I also have the Patreon where we post stuff there, and I post some of the stuff like the wizard stuff on there as well. So feel free to join and support if you would like and everything, just to help support the channel. Okay, so there's that. I'm just going to bring up this. This was something I posted a while ago, 2 years ago actually, about David DeLuise, and this is what I liked about David DeLuise. Okay, so let me just make sure that's in focus. So this is Obscure Nick, YouTube, not Twitter, sorry. And this was about David DeLuise, how he felt about certain people in the industry, and how they were acting towards Selena Gomez. So let me know if you guys can hear it and everything, and yeah. Wait, sorry, 1 second. I'm just gonna take that off. 1 second. I'm just gonna reset this. 1 second. 1 second. Okay, we're gonna try now, and I'm gonna just play it through the computer. Let me know if you can hear it.
Such a big deal about Selena turning 18. And I was like
guys or
just everybody. They're like, she's gonna be 18. I'm like, great, whatever. But then I guess that's your legal age to consent to grown-up stuff in the bedroom, you know what I mean? Like, that's what it was. Like, she's gonna be like that.
I feel like, unfortunately, there's this weird, it's really icky, there's this weird kind of like predatory almost thing with child actors. I mean, not almost, it is.
Well, because my daughter is the same age as you guys, and I would, in my mind, I'm never going to be like, oh, my daughter's going to be 18, so she can have sex. You know what I mean?
But,
like,
but it's just
so
weird
bizarre.
with child actors in the public eye. If you're a woman, and I can't speak to the male experience, but I would imagine it's the same for guys too, because I know like the Olsen twins went through it, possibly the Sprouse twins went through it, like there's this weird thing where it's this like countdown to 18 because she'll be an option and it's acceptable for me to be attracted to her.
So it's weird, right?
It's weird. It's predatory and it's gross and it's I vaguely remember that, but I think subconsciously like pushed it out of my mind because it is gross. Because there is this weird kind of pedophilic
it was
element to
very
it that is
not cool.
disconcerting. Yeah.
But I really
So yeah, yeah. So Jennifer
such a
Stone also
big
talks about the
deal
countdown
about
clock and
Selena
stuff.
turning 18.
And yeah, that was okay, you can hear it. Okay, good. So yeah, that was yeah, I agree with that. And it's refreshing though to hear that like an adult on the set was like, what is this? You know, it's refreshing to hear that. So you would think that people like David Henry would want people like adults like David DeLuise to be more involved with the show, because you know that would be that seems safe. And I could see even with like Selena Gomez's interview on that podcast, she felt more comfortable around certain adults. So it made sense. It makes so much sense, because especially in that time, there weren't many adults who would be like, you know, who would be like, you know, like, I don't really like that. I don't like that behavior, you know? And Jennifer Stone said it's not just females, but also males with the Sprouse twins too. And, you know, yeah, that's very true as well. And then Drake Bell, as we know. And it's truly crazy. It's truly crazy work and everything. So yeah, that, you know, oh, it's just so weird and stuff. So yeah. Is there any questions regarding all of that and just the stream today? Like, is there any questions or comments that you guys have for like about David Henry, about Wizards Beyond Waverly Place, about what do you think the cast feels about David Henry truthfully? Because I'm getting a vibe that they feel like he's an egotistical, ego crazy person. I don't know. But also, is he the only one at fault here is the question. Is he the only one? Because there's multiple other executive producers on this show that I saw. There's like six. One of them, Selena Gomez. But how many of those people are actually involved hands-on? And just from that one clip about Dan Benson, I was like, is this like, it gave me a sense that he controls the narrative. Because when he got that thing, even though Dan Benson wasn't the central focus of the question, he was like, it was giving, how dare you mention that person. Like, that's what it was giving, that type of energy. I just hope the kids like Max Mentinko have a healthy life. I hope so too. And everything. That is a good point. I don't know as much about that show, but I'm sure there are more execs and people David's officiated that needs side-eye. Okay, I'm going to list you guys off the executive producer, actually. Max. Okay, there's like, I just found like 6 people. Okay, I'm just going to pull up my windows again. And let's just go here. Let's just literally go here. Let's just pull this. Okay, so there's 6. Look at this. Okay, we're gonna put this. So for this show, this is on Wikipedia, by the way. I just looked this up. On this show, this is how many executive producers are. This is production for Wizards Beyond Waverly Place. Are any of these names familiar to you guys? I think Selena's only an executive producer because she funds the whole thing. I think. Are any of these other names, were they involved in this time of the year or anything like that? Because I just want to know. Now. I'm very curious. Sorry, I shouldn't have clicked out of that, but those are the list of executive producers that are on this specific show. Like, it's a lot. Like, how many people of these people are actually like involved? like, you know, and it's kind of crazy how that is. Were any of these same people in This Is the Year? That's my question, because it just feels like David Henry goes to these projects where he's in control, which is fine and everything, but the fact that he was in the Bug Hall situation, he was involving problematic people, allegedly, according to Bug Hall. I just haven't had time to do all this cross-referencing. Okay, so I might, let me just look this up right now. Let me just look up, I'm just going to pull this right off right now. I'm going to look up This Is the Year while I'm looking at this. And we'll see if there's anyone there. Please like the video while you guys are here. So edited by, I'm looking at this. And no, I don't really, James Henry Leo. I'm looking at the Wikipedia for that. I don't see anyone from This Is the Year on here. I don't see any of that. So no, that is not, there is no cross-reference to that specifically. I don't know these other people that are producers and stuff and everything. Yeah, but it's really, really interesting. And the Netflix series A Tale Dark and Grim. Was that something David and Bug did together as well? Was that another? So they did a lot of projects together is what you're telling me, not just This Is the Year. Interesting. So there's no connection to This Is the Year with Wizards Beyond Waverly Place. So this must be totally different production, clearly. And yeah, so I don't know then. I kind of hit a brick wall. Okay, well, we don't know for sure who that is. And again, that's all very alleged. But all we're showing today is that okay, wait, let me look at hold on. Maybe I might have found something with the production companies. Hold up. Okay, actually, the only cross-reference to This Is the Year. Do you guys see Novo inspire Kenwood TV Productions? So This Is the Year was called, when the production company with This Is the Year is called Novo Media Group. Novo inspire Kenwood TV Productions is, so the brand Novo is connected to This Is the Year. So I don't know if that's David Henry's personal production company. I don't know if that's what it is. So yeah, there is one reference there. There is one reference. So need to dive deeper into the branding Novo specifically to understand it. So yeah, I'm going to just take this off now. But that is a conversation that we can have further. Is there any questions or comments or concern in regards to Wizards Beyond Waverly Place? Is there anything else that I've missed on that? Yes, Novo is their company. And okay, I'm also just putting my Patreon and PayPal. If you want to donate to the channel, feel free to donate to the PayPal. Not required, but if you want to, feel free to go to. Anything's appreciated. I will shout you out. I'll make sure to check the PayPal. Yeah, let's be honest though. This show bombed. Only the first season was a full season. Season 2 and 3 might as well be one season combined. The show really only had 1.5 seasons. Interesting. Okay, yeah, that's interesting because I noticed that Rister, that's a good point you make up. That is a very valid point because when I look up this show, I noticed that the episodes get less and less and less, and the viewership is only 200,000. Like, not even 200,000, like 100,000 average. Like, and even less. For the TV ratings, I don't know how it does on Disney Plus streaming, but those are the ratings that it's been getting, which is not I don't know if that's good for TV standards. I don't think like newer generations um are as geared to um this type of TV as much as older generations, because again, this is a nostalgic show. This is a show from the 2000s. But newer generations are not used to the kids sitcom format. I think the kids sitcom has died out, and it's more geared, the kids content is more geared towards animation and TikToks and things of that nature now. It's no longer this live action sitcom format. They are not interested in that, clearly, and it seems that's the, because I don't know any other sitcoms that are kids sitcoms that are that are around. Like, I don't know any original sitcoms that I can think of at the top that I've picked up the way something like Hannah Montana, iCarly, Victorious, Big Time Rush, you know, those types of shows. I don't know any shows that are like that now. Like, do you guys know any shows that are like that now that have really picked up? The only things from kids channels that I know that has picked up is The Loud House and SpongeBob. That's literally it. And these rebooted shows of these old sitcoms. That's literally it. I don't know any other shows that are in the vein of that. So, you know, so that's just my take on that. I haven't looked into that studio. I will soon at some point. I guess that would be good coverage. I think we'll need to do another day of like the Novo coverage. I want to see how this conversation dives before we dive further. And I want to make sure I have receipts on Bug Hall stuff. Because I want to do another day on the Bug Hall stuff, because I want to make sure I have the clips and stuff so I can clip things out. I know he did that long video interview, but I want to clip things out about David Henry and Bug Hall's relationship a little bit further. But I did want to introduce Bug Hall today in this video, in this live, because I feel like that's important to understand it. So people who are because people are questioning David Henry's motives, and I just want to give a sense that a few years prior that David Henry has this pattern of behavior where he controls the narrative, and he will do everything and anything to have his way, it seems like. So, and that's just how I am. That's what I wanted to establish today as an introduction, just so you guys get your feet wet, because I know, Tez, as you know, you and I know, like, we know the ins and outs of this quite a bit, especially when it comes to Bug Hall and David Henry. But I just wanted to, so you guys just take that in for what it is. Rewatch the video. Please share, like, subscribe, and comment. We did do an hour today. I want to also, again, I'm just going to do this one more time today. I just want to do one more time, just show you guys the Patreon. This is the Patreon. Please go to my Patreon. If you would like, you can join for free, or $5 a month. And then there's also a $20 tier as well. But we discuss things for free on here. And then we also have other things. And I will give you a shout out if you join the Patreon, even if it's the free tier or whichever tier you wish to receive. And then also, if you would like to support the channel, again, feel free to donate. I appreciate anything and everything. I don't know if anyone donated today, but it really helps me keep the channel going, growing, and all that good stuff. I will put the links there and everything for you guys to do that right now. So this is the Patreon. And then this is the PayPal. Just so you guys know, again, just putting that out there. The show is really a sequel for Justin's character, not the whole cast. Ritster, one question regarding that. Do you think that show worked, and was it a good choice? Well, actually, you said the show bombed, but do you think that was a good choice, or do you think it should have been a reboot? So you watched the reboot. What did you think about it overall? Was it a good show, or was it something that would have worked better if it was with the original cast but older in their adult lives, but not focused on the new generation? Because I'm just curious about it. I haven't seen the show myself. I could watch it and be like, oh, this is really good, but I haven't watched it myself. But a lot of people are really upset about this show. So I'm just curious what other people who have seen that show, is it a solid sequel or is it something that we should forget? Like the Ren and Stimpy adult party cartoon show. As you guys know, that is my question. But yeah, that is pretty much everything I have today for you guys. You can rewatch the stream, comment on the stream, like the stream, subscribe, and yeah. I thought the show was decent. Max Mintinko's character Milo was adorable. Okay, so there were good elements. There were good child actors in it. Okay, so that's good to show. It's decent. Okay, I got you. Okay, that makes sense. So that's a fair read, I think, and everything. And yeah, that's what I was just really curious to know, like, what it was. But yeah, thank you guys though for watching. If you guys want to talk further, please comment down below. And going 21. Yeah, it did bomb. And this has been our Wizards Beyond Waverly Place chat. Let me know what you thought of the finale and the show in general, what your read on the show is. And thank you guys for being here today. And we're sending much love. And we will talk soon. Bye.